Somewhere in the Pacific Ocean, between Hawaii and California, there's a mass of floating debris estimated to be roughly twice the size of Texas. It's not a solid island you can walk on, like a lot of people imagine. It's something stranger, more diffuse, and in some ways more concerning, because most of what makes it up is nearly invisible. The Great Pacific Garbage Patch was first identified in 1997 by a sailor named Charles Moore, who was crossing an area of the Pacific known as the North Pacific Subtropical Gyre after a sailing race. A gyre is a large system of rotating ocean currents, and this particular one acts almost like a slow-moving whirlpool on an enormous scale, pulling floating debris in from across the Pacific and trapping it in a relatively stable area where it accumulates rather than dispersing. What Moore found wasn't a solid mass of trash floating on the surface the way many people picture it. Instead, it was a vast, spread-out concentration of plastic debris, much of it broken down into small fragments, mixed throughout a huge area of ocean, with some larger debris, like fishing nets and containers, floating on top. Later research and estimates have suggested the patch spans somewhere around 1.6 million square kilometers, though the exact boundaries are difficult to define precisely, since the debris isn't uniformly distributed and the patch's edges blend gradually into open ocean rather than having a clear border. Here's what makes it genuinely unsettling once you understand the details. Researchers estimate the vast majority of the debris by count, upward of 90%, consists of microplastics, tiny plastic fragments, often smaller than 5 millimeters, that form as larger plastic items are broken down by sunlight and wave action over years or decades, without ever fully biodegrading. Plastic doesn't decompose the way organic material does. It just breaks into smaller and smaller pieces indefinitely. That means most of the patch isn't visible from a boat or even from satellite imagery. You could sail directly through significant sections of it without seeing what most people picture when they hear garbage patch. Studies analyzing the debris have found that a substantial portion of the patch's total mass actually comes from fishing industry equipment, specifically abandoned or lost nets, ropes, and gear, sometimes referred to as ghost gear, which continues drifting and, in some cases, continues trapping and killing marine life for years after being lost or discarded, long after any fishing vessel meant it to remain in use. The environmental consequences extend well beyond the patch itself. Microplastics from this region and others like it have been documented entering the food chain, ingested by fish and other marine life, and research has found evidence of plastic particles present in creatures at nearly every level of the ocean's ecosystem, raising ongoing questions about the long-term effects on marine life and, by extension, on humans who consume seafood. Cleanup efforts have been attempted, most notably by organizations developing large-scale ocean cleanup systems designed to passively collect floating debris using current-driven barriers. These projects have had some documented success removing plastic from targeted sections of the patch, but the scale of the problem is large enough that most researchers agree cleanup alone isn't a complete solution, and that reducing how much plastic enters the ocean in the first place is the more critical long-term factor. The Great Pacific Garbage Patch isn't a mystery in the traditional sense. Scientists understand how it formed and largely what it's made of. But its scale, and the fact that most of it is nearly invisible even up close, makes it one of the strangest and most under-recognized things floating in our oceans today. It's been quietly growing for decades, in a part of the ocean most people will never see.